Some people spend their entire lives trying not to hurt others while completely destroying themselves in the process. And I honestly think a lot of very nice people are suffering way more internally than people realize. Because when people think of somebody who's nice, they usually imagine somebody calm or emotionally healthy or easygoing. But a lot of the nicest people I've met are actually some of the most anxious people imaginable. They're just directing everything inward instead of outward. And I think when you live like that for long enough, your body eventually starts paying the price for it. Because stress doesn't just disappear because you suppress it. If you're constantly swallowing anger and avoiding conflict and overthinking interactions or worrying about upsetting people and feeling guilty all the time about it, your nervous system still experiences that as stress. And I'm kind of like that myself. I've always hated confrontation, even small confrontation. If somebody's rude to me or crosses a boundary or takes advantage of me somehow, my first instinct usually isn't aggression. It's anxiety and overthinking and stress. And I think a lot of overly nice people are carrying huge amounts of internal tension all the time. Like they're constantly monitoring everybody's emotions all the time and thinking, did I upset them? Did I say something wrong, or are they annoyed with me? Or should I have worded that differently? And people joke about overthinking. But if your nervous system is doing that all day, every day, for years, eventually it starts affecting you physically as well. Because the body is not really designed to live in a permanent state of emotional hypervigilance. And I think society actually even rewards this behavior in weird ways. Like growing up, you're constantly told, be nice, be polite, don't upset people, don't be difficult. But nobody really teaches people how to have boundaries properly. So you end up with these people who are incredibly empathetic and considerate, but also completely exhausted because they're absorbing everybody else's emotions all the time. And eventually resentment starts building underneath it. Because there are people in this world who will just take and take and take if you let them. Like at work and in relationships, even friendships and family. And if you're terrified of conflict, you often just tolerate more and more until your nervous system basically starts collapsing under the pressure of it. And then your physical health starts to decline. And honestly, I think this was part of what happened to me before I started getting panic attacks constantly, because I internalize absolutely everything, like stress and pressure and conflict and the guilt and shame. I carry all of it internally instead of expressing it properly. And eventually the body just says, I've had enough. And then come things like panic attacks and anxiety, because your nervous system keeps score of how you live. And honestly, I think some narcissistic or very selfish people don't care emotionally, and they don't carry emotional weight in the same way, which sounds unfair, but I think it's true. Like, some people can hurt others, manipulate people, and create chaos around them, and then sleep perfectly fine afterwards. And that's not fair. Meanwhile, somebody else feels guilty for replying too late to a text message. And I'm not saying people should become selfish or narcissistic. Obviously not. I think empathy is one of the most important qualities a person can have. But empathy without boundaries eventually becomes self-destruction. And I think a lot of overly nice people confuse being good with never asserting themselves. Because sometimes what people call niceness is actually fear. Fear of rejection or conflict, fear of abandonment, and fear of people disliking you. So instead of setting boundaries naturally or expressing anger properly, people suppress everything instead, and just they slowly become chronically stressed. And I think the scary part is that from the outside, these people often look completely fine. They're friendly people, they're reliable, and usually look really easygoing, super polite. Meanwhile, internally, they're anxious all the time, burnt out, overstimulated, constantly carrying emotional tension in their body. And I honestly think a lot of very nice people are slowly destroying themselves whilst convincing themselves they're just being good people.